No matter what Switch game I try to play, I keep getting this message. Something about how these policies have been updated, so I click OK, which takes you to this new screen. And if you don't hit I agree and you just exit out of it, I literally can't play any game and it says no virtual game cards are able to load. Basically, my Switch is bricked until I sign this agreement. But I don't know what I'm signing. Should I do it?
The Nintendo Switch 2 comes out next week. Like, we are technically moving into a brand new generation of video game consoles next week. The Nintendo Switch 2 will be along the ranks of the PlayStation 6 and whatever the next Xbox will be called, right? But I have zero hype. And that's crazy to me because this is a brand new Nintendo Switch console. Despite it being a sequel to a previous one, like, I still feel like I should have a little bit of hype. I have none. I literally forgot that it was coming out next week. I don't know if that's because of the games they announced. I don't know if that's because the Nintendo Switch 2 feels more like a refresh than like an entirely new console. I don't know what it is, but I'm not really that hyped. Now, Summer Game Fest could come along and the Nintendo Switch is a sponsor, so they will be showing some things there. Maybe they build the hype up. Maybe they show us some games that really make me want to dive into my pocket. But as it is right now, not that interested. Is it the $80 games? I don't really think so. I'll tell you, I personally think Mario Kart is kind of worth it. But like, I don't know. Like, I'm just not excited. What do y'all think it is?
Nintendo has pissed off some of its biggest fans, with many now saying that they will not be picking up a Nintendo Switch 2 and already canceling their pre-orders. This is a very serious situation for Nintendo, and the backlash is only continuing to grow. Why has Nintendo chosen to go down this path, and what does it mean for the Switch 2's launch, but also its success in the future? Watch to the end of the video to fully understand the implications of this growing backlash and boycott against Nintendo and the Nintendo Switch 2 and how things are going to play out going forward. Don't forget to follow us over on Rumble. And also, guys, if you want to learn about affordable PC gaming, go and check out Angry Guys Arcade, which is linked in the description of the video. And now let's go ahead and jump right into the first video.
So I think the only good thing to really come out of this Power World lawsuit situation is that most people, at least within the gaming community, can now see just how petty Nintendo is. Because Nintendo kind of sucks. They're like the EA or the GW of Japan. They're an awful company that not a lot of people like. However, they own IPs that a lot of people do like, so they continue to rack up the money. Like, I'm sure you've heard or at least seen the memes of Nintendo suing people for making artwork of their characters, mods for their games that are otherwise unplayable without the mods, and of course fan games, because Pokemon fans have been making better Pokemon games than Nintendo for like 2 decades now. What I am worried though is just how vague these patents are. Like, capturing creatures with a spherical object and being able to see the percentage rate of like how well you're going to catch them is so dumb, but at the same time, they can easily get around this by changing the PAL spheres to cubes or triangles. I mean, Johnny Test did it. Yeah, anyone else remember the Johnny Test episode where he basically went into his Game Boy and caught Shadow Lugia? And the riding the mounts one is probably the one that irritates me the most, because so many other games have done that shit for decades now. Are you going to start suing every other game like World of Warcraft?
Some will see this and be like, who fucking asked? But you know what? I don't give a shit. I asked. Nintendo, fuck you. First off, $80 for Mario Kart. Here's the thing. 70, pushing it. Like, I'm not doing it. Almost $500 fucking dollars for the base console. If I buy the Nintendo Switch 2 with the Mario Kart Worlds, it's $30 less. I'm getting the game for $50. Fucking make that make sense, goddamn. Nintendo's out of it mind. We genuinely, you Nintendo fucktards have genuinely. I blame Nintendo fans. I blame myself for not bullying Nintendo fans. Because you guys sucked their dick so much that they are going to get away with this, and it's then going to spiral out of control. It's not just about Nintendo, it's about everything else. The most average price game is $60 on this shelf. 70's the max I'll ever pay.
So, as you can see, a lot of Nintendo fans are generally pissed off and not having it. Many of them are also blaming the fans that are super fans, the fanboys that keep on pushing this garbage and saying that if you can't afford it or if you don't like it, just don't buy it. There are many who are actually celebrating that Nintendo has essentially now shipped a brick in a box where you can't use the device unless Nintendo gives you permission to use it using that day one patch, or unless you update to the new user agreement, you cannot play the games that you purchased. Like, think about this carefully. You can't play the games that you purchased 7 years ago on a device that you purchased 7 years ago because Nintendo now decides that they're changing their user agreement to let you know that you no longer own a device that you purchased 7 years ago, or else. And you can't do anything about it because you're a brokey. And what are you going to do? Litigate? But by the way, we're going to take away your right to sue us just in case. And you could, under no circumstance, join a class action lawsuit. Now, the thing is that Nintendo's hope is that because they're a law firm that makes video games. They're not a video game company that have good lawyers. They're a law firm that makes video games. They're hoping that basically using the system that they are going to exploit, because they exploit the judicial system to the fullest, they will be able to stop anyone and everyone from fighting back against them because lawyers hate Nintendo. Why do lawyers hate Nintendo? Because Nintendo is the biggest law firm in the world, the toughest law firm in the world, and Nintendo will basically fight until the very end. When you hear about the Nintendo ninjas, those are lawyers. Nintendo is a very petty company, and they are not going to stop with their bullying. But thankfully, a lot of fans are beginning to wake up and say Nintendo can 100% go to hell.
So Nintendo really about starting a generational run for anti-consumerism. What the fuck? Nintendo updated their user license agreements recently. And it states that if you want to mod your Switch or extract like game ROMs or anything like that, yeah, no, can't do that shit anymore. Because now Nintendo reserves the right to remotely brick your Switch, making it in part or whole unusable. It used to be they just banned you off of Nintendo online services, shops, whatever. You couldn't use your account. Your account was toast. Now they say, hey, dumb fuck, we got you. That Nintendo Switch that you thought you owned because you bought it, yeah, that shit don't work anymore, baby. But here's the fucking crazy part. This is only applying in the United States because Europe has consumer protection laws that prevents Nintendo from doing shit like this. And they added a clause saying that you can't sue them. So these motherfuckers can take your Switch away from you that you bought and you can't do nothing about it because it's written in the fine print. But it gets worse. Nintendo has now confirmed that they also reserve the right to listen in on your voice chats for inappropriate behavior. Is that not a fucking invasion of privacy? Is there nothing that protects us from that? We're living in a digital space where we don't own our games even though we buy them. We don't own our consoles even though we buy them. So what the fuck do we own? Nothing? Somebody said if buy my games doesn't mean I own them, then arguing them doesn't mean it's illegal. Now, I don't condone any of this shit on either side, on either the modding and arguing side or Nintendo's anti-consumerism policies. Just maintain extreme caution because you don't own anything anymore.
The problem for me when it comes to this entire Nintendo Switch 2 debacle is not just about the prices of the product, but also the quality of what we're getting. Since it's been shown that the Nintendo Switch 2 is going to be up to 2 to 3 hours less battery life than the rest of the Switches. And I understand that a lot of Nintendo fans will tell me with more advancements in technology, the more power it's going to take. What makes this Switch different than the other ones other than that it's a bigger screen and that the controllers magnetically connect to the screen? Like, what actually makes this Switch different than the other Switches? Because just so far from what I've seen, you're better off just getting an OLED. Like, flat out, you will get almost the same quality, almost the same size, while also having more battery life to play more games. Like, I just think at this point, Nintendo is going backwards instead of forwards.
If you're a fan of Nintendo, listen up. Nintendo is one of the worst video game companies of all time. What they've done over the past 4 weeks has been nothing short of egregious.
Nintendo sucks, and I'm tired of pretending it doesn't. For a long time, Nintendo was completely at the top of the food chain. They were putting out ridiculously unique and inspiring games and just pushing the boundary of what gaming could do. Everyone seemed to be frothing at the mouth from the next big thing from Nintendo. And fast forward to 2023, where they've released the Nintendo Switch 26 different times, with each one ever so slightly better from the last. And that brings me to my first point, their hardware. It sucks. I mean, to be fair, the Switch OLED should have probably been the first Switch that came out. It's at least something decent, but it's nothing great. They are consistently years and years behind the competition. And everyone just excuses it because they're like, it's Nintendo. And it's like people want it both ways because people constantly praise Nintendo for being the best of the best. But as soon as you critique them, they go, oh, no, this is made for children. Which one is it? And continuing the hardware train, their Joy-Cons are still broken and still are absolute garbage. A really cool idea, but probably the worst in the market. There is still no fix for the drift and they barely even address it. And to top it all off, these freaking things cost $80 and God forbid a special edition. I think they're like $90. And both the PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X controllers, I think are between $60 and $70. There is no excuse. These two controllers are leaps and bounds better than the Joy-Cons. Nintendo's online service absolutely sucks. It barely runs well and they've got the weirdest choice of games on there. They absolutely never have anything go on sale. I absolutely love the excuses that people come up with when it comes to this. They're always like, oh, they know their worth. Their product doesn't devalue. Wrong. They are just completely greedy. And we saw most recently that they upped their Tears of the Kingdom price from $60 to $70. Absolutely no reason for this. Most people would disagree with the decision overall, but at least with the PlayStation 5 game, it's like, okay, there's ray tracing, it's 4K, 60 to 120 FPS. And on the Switch, it runs like crap. Again, I'm not talking about the game itself. I'm just talking about the quality of its performance. Constant frame rate issues, textures look okay. And everybody jumps to, oh, but they were never about graphics. It's all about art style. I promise, I do not want hyper-realistic Nintendo games. You can absolutely have games with incredible art style that still perform well. They do lazy remasters that every other company would be completely crucified for. Don't even get me started on the limited time release. And with the exception of Tears of the Kingdom, the best Nintendo Switch exclusives came out in 2017 and barely 2018. With Breath of the Wild, Super Mario Odyssey, and Super Smash Bros. I just don't care about their stuff like I used to. I really want to believe in Nintendo again, but I just don't care. They seem to rinse and repeat their products every few years, in both the games and consoles. It is a shame how many people blindly accept this because Nintendo on top. Nintendo really needs to step it up these next few years because I just feel like a lot of people don't care anymore.
So the Nintendo Switch 2 just got announced, and I'm gonna be honest, y'all, this shit is a scam! They're charging $450, and aside from upgraded hardware, the only new features are things that would have been beneficial during the COVID era. Like, they added this feature that's basically Discord onto the Nintendo Switch. And if you don't know what Discord is, that's basically like Zoom or Microsoft Teams. And then selling like, what, a $60, $70 camera that goes separately with it? Nintendo, what are y'all doing? You guys were the innovators for new game styles. Now your biggest feature is Microsoft Teams for Nintendo Switch? On top of that, they added a feature where like you can use the Joy-Con as like a mouse, as if nobody owns a damn computer and can play computer games. I will say though, the Mario Kart and Donkey Kong games look amazing. Other than that though, this shit is a scam!
And guys, as console gaming fades into history, the PC master race is rising from its ashes, stronger, faster, and more customizable than ever. Don't get left behind in the dust. Angry Guys Arcade is your gateway to affordable PC gaming, personalized gaming advice, and the latest news shaping the future of gaming. The link is in the description. Go check it out now.
Nintendo, I have been playing Mario Kart 8 since its drop about 8 years ago. Do you think I won't play it for another decade out of spite? You crazy motherfuckers. I've been playing Tomodachi Life for a decade. I still play that bitch regularly, on a daily. What makes you think that I will not only A, buy a new console, when mine is perfectly fine and operational and Animal Crossing colored, but also B, pay above $60 for a video game? Never gonna happen. I refuse to pay above $60 for a video game. $60 is the max because that's what y'all raised me on. If y'all want to raise this bar higher, you're gonna have to make better damn games. I couldn't even afford to get the Mario Kart 8 Deluxe expansion pack that y'all put out. I still haven't been able to buy that. I'm not gonna buy the new Mario Kart if it's above $60. I love Tomodachi Life, but Tomodachi Life is timeless. which is what makes it so great. And it's also going for $100 right now. Why would I buy another $100 Tomodachi Life? I've already got $100 plus worth of Tomodachi Life in my bag. You already perfected the game. All we asked was that you revamp it, and now here you go, thinking you can extort us? Bitch, no. Are you gonna put Style Savvy out on the Switch? Are y'all gonna make all these games transferable or what? I'm not planning on buying the new Switch, but if I was, I should be able to take my Luigi's Mansion 3 over to that one. And I shouldn't have no issue with doing that. Really, Nintendo, what can you possibly do?
And to be honest, these specifically people like her are the people that Nintendo are now losing. The people that don't necessarily have lots of money or are not willing to spend lots of money on games. Nintendo believes that the Nintendo experience is a premium experience. Nintendo's previous business model was basically giving the consumer the perception of more value than the cost of the product. So, it was a cost effective way to play video games that were fun and easily accessible. In fact, that was the original purpose of video games in the first place. Video game consoles. They were supposed to be a cost effective way of people being able to cheaply play games. It was about affordability. Then all of the investors stepped in. Then it became all about money, greedflation. I have children to feed, and we have to make more and more money every single year. And as a result, what do? That means you have to keep on raising prices indefinitely, unless you're Valve, who basically take a cut off every single game that goes onto their platform. And the biggest part of it is that they are not a public company. They're not a publicly traded company. So for Valve, it doesn't matter to them if they make $500 million or $1 billion, the following year. As long as they're not dipping way too much in profitability, they don't care. Valve has like just over 300 employees, but the company is worth a minimum of $14 billion, maybe actually more than that. So they're taking in insane amounts of money, and they just don't give a damn about anything else. They are able to create and innovate, and that's it. All of these other companies like Nintendo have priced themselves out as they've priced their consumers out. People are fed up, especially with the cost of living that we're going through now, where we no longer have a lot of disposable income the way we did 4 or 5 years ago before the event of 2020. Now everything costs way too damn much. So the idea of a $80 game, even when a $60 game was already pushing it, is an absolute and utter joke. Sony even revealed that the PlayStation is not doing as well as you'd like to believe. While the PlayStation 5 is making more money than it has in previous generations, it's actually not being adapted as fast as the PlayStation 4 was. In fact, as of late last year, roughly half of all PlayStation players were still on the PlayStation 4. Which is one of the reasons why Sony kept on releasing most of their games on PlayStation 4, because people were not hopping over to the PlayStation 5. The thing is that because Sony raised the prices of the PlayStation so much for the PlayStation 5 console for the game, they're basically milking the remaining audience that they have left. Nintendo, on the other hand, decided to deliver an inferior product that was supposed to come out back in 2020, 2021. How do we know this? I think it's the T239 chipset that's in there, Tegra chipset that's in there. It literally has like a date on the semiconductor itself, basically telling us that it was originally went into production in 2020, 2021. So this tells us this was originally planned for the Nintendo Switch Pro. In fact, what we actually got from Nintendo is not the Nintendo Switch 2. It is the Nintendo Switch Pro that they just changed the name from. And they're basically trying to shill for a lot more money and pass off as an entirely new console generation. There's really no innovation here. It's just many steps backwards. This whole camera, for example, is really about spying on us. Having to purchase a console that has a microphone in there that will record everything that you say, and then Nintendo will review that recording to determine whether or not they want to allow you to continue playing on their service, or the fact that Nintendo can not only you brick your console and suspend and terminate your service for anything you've done, but they can also terminate your service, and take your games away and brick your console for if they think that you might do something wrong. That's something out of Minority Report, where they can punish you if they think you might do something wrong. And yet, Nintendo fans are celebrating this. And I'm not making any of this up. I'm just one of the few people that actually took time to read some of the new end user license agreement. And just to make it clear, I did go ahead and send over my certified letter that my attorney prepared for me. My attorney that specializes in intellectual property prepared for me after he reviewed the user agreement, sent me over an entire breakdown of my options, and then advised me, provided a notice for me to send to Nintendo to let them know that I do not give up my right to sue them. And that's basically where we are at this point. So opting out of arbitration. Nintendo figured that most people would not take that step. Yeah, I took that step. Right? And I sent it off certified. Not only did I send it certified mail, I sent it certified mail with requesting an electronic return receipt, which will prove that I actually did send it to Nintendo. Because Nintendo is an evil company that could care less about the consumer and is only about trying to profit off pain and suffering and nostalgia.
Now that the Switch is almost on its way out, can we actually talk about how the Switch era kinda sucked? Because the first year Nintendo did their thing, they dropped Breath of the Wild and Mario Odyssey in the same year. But you know what else we had to deal with in the same year? Joy-Con drift, and I still think Joy-Con drift might be a problem to this day. Also, the fact that half of the Switch's best games are just games that were on the Wii U. And when Nintendo did make a new game, it was either a flop that no one cares about, or it was a sequel that took out features from previous games to sell back to you in an update. And this hit the hardest with the sports games. Like, every sports game on this console sucks. Mario Strikers Battle League actually broke my heart with how bad it was. And then they have the nerve to make you pay for online with no party system, no messaging system, and no Miiverse. And we're still using friend codes in the year 2024, bro. And then you have franchises like Pokemon and Splatoon that should have reached new heights just continue to fumble. Like, only half of these games on screen are good. And listen, I know the Switch has its bangers, but if I'm being honest, the only reason I haven't sold my Switch is because of Smash Brothers. And if I'm being honest, I'm not that excited for the Switch 2.
Nintendo is the greediest company I've ever seen in my fucking life. This article is explaining why they started using the game key cards instead of just giving us the physical copy of the games. First of all, it's to protect their IP. Fine, you want to use Mario and keep it off of Game Pass so people can't hack their Switches or whatever, fine, I don't care. They are limiting the devs from putting games on game key cards because the fucking cartridge only holds 64 gigabytes. Bro, if you play any game today, they are all way bigger than 60 gigs. These pieces of shit are making it damn near impossible to own any game that is exclusive to the Switch. They are trying so hard to avoid pirating when all you're gonna do is inspire people to keep going. And yes, I heard that they can brick your console if they feel like you're hacking their console, but I don't give a fuck. They deserve all their games pirated. I'm gonna be honest. They are trying so hard to get you to buy a Switch. Not to mention, these key cards, by the way, it doesn't even give you the game data. It just lets you download them from the store. So at any point in time, they can revoke your access to the game. This shit is so fucking corny, it's not even funny. Will they do it? Probably not. But the fact that that is an option is fucking crazy to me. That's all I'm saying. Any idea I had about buying the Switch is like in the toilet right now. I fuck with the Switch. But I do not want to Switch 2 if I'm not going to be able to own any of the games or anything like that. That's crazy to me. Not to mention, these games you download are only going to work over Wi-Fi. So like, what the fuck?
Nintendo patent approved in August could be what it uses against Palworld. It's part of a slightly more comprehensive patent family that describes the process of aiming a capture item at a character and releasing it using two inputs, an analog stick and a button press. This is why patents on game mechanics are dog shit, dude. Like, I'm going to patent the ability to throw an object at a monster using a stick and a button press to catch that monster. That's patented. You can't use that in any video game forever now. It's super broad. It's WASD is mine now, gamers. Your move. Yeah, exactly. It's just so stupid, dude. releasing it using 2 inputs, an analog stick and a button press. This triggers a check that determines whether the character's status should be changed to owned by the player. Yeah, that's what capture means. The illustrations attached to the patent depict something resembling the Pokeball controller being used for the 2 required inputs. Yeah, no, this is it. A killer patent that covers a wide variety of use cases. This means no capture mechanics can be used in a 3D space for any other game ever in history until the patent expires, which I believe is like 20 years.
So basically what Nintendo is establishing is that if they win the PAL World suit, and they probably will, they'll force PAL World to surrender by pestering them and forcing them to change the game. It will now basically be a crime, technically speaking, that Nintendo can prosecute you for if you have any game that uses capture mechanics. This is crazy. This is crazy. Okay? Or anything that has capture mechanics remotely resembling Pokemon or many modern titles that came before Pokemon. Capture mechanics. So you can no longer capture, raise, or even fly on monsters. Oh, you can't use monsters anymore for transportation either. That's a part of the PAL World lawsuit. You can no longer fly on PALs because Nintendo did it first, evidently, which they absolutely did not. But they basically are saying that you cannot fly on monsters in a game. They will never stop until PAL World is dead. That's their ultimate goal, is to kill off this game. This is how sick this company is. How twisted they are. And that's why at least some people are waking up and saying enough is enough. Because guys, the people who are praising Nintendo, like I was watching Spawn Wave, and I'll tell you something. This is like the weekend before the official, launch of the Switch 2. And you had guys like OJ saying, the only reason why I'm buying one is so I could play more games with my brother, blah, blah, blah. And the mood was just very depressed. It was down. RGT wasn't even there. He was, I guess, off watching sports, which is not uncommon. However, it's a little strange considering that this is the weekend before the launch of the Switch 2, and he wasn't even there. And don't get me wrong, this is a person who basically said on a stream, like on a video, where he would pay someone to get him a copy of the Switch 2 before it actually comes out. And he was serious as hell. He was 100% serious. He was describing how it would be done, and he went into extraordinary detail. These people are the shills for Nintendo. They're the reason why Nintendo can get away with everything. Don't be surprised when Nintendo starts suing reviewers very soon, or just going directly to YouTube and having our videos taken down. Because somewhere in our user agreement, we agreed that we wouldn't criticize Nintendo, and YouTube's user agreement is so broken. YouTube is so broken that they will just basically give Nintendo what it wants, and that's going to be it. And Nintendo will not stop until they find a way. If that doesn't work, they will go through every video on your channel to find you using some instance of Nintendo footage. Oh, you're using a clip from Nintendo. That's copyright infringement, and we're gonna fight you over it. And now we're gonna take it down, and we're gonna take your channel down. That's how Nintendo works. And I'm telling you right now, we're at the point where only a fool would mess around with this garbage. Only a fool and a shill would still, try to push the Nintendo Switch 2. So the fury is real. The backlash is growing. Consumers are pissed off. People are finally beginning to wake up and realize that Nintendo is a horrible company. They're a vindictive company. They're a dangerous company that don't want you to own anything. And their actions will now finally come back to bite them, because so many people are boycotting the device, saying they're not going to be picking it up. And it's the casual consumers, it's not the fanboys that will allow Nintendo to survive. It's all those casual players. And you know what's something interesting that Nintendo didn't learn? When the Wii came out and it flopped, the fanboys didn't stick around. The fanboys took off. They did. It really showed just how hollow their fanboy base is. And that was it. And those were dark days for Nintendo. If the Switch did not succeed, Nintendo was so desperate during that period of time. If the Switch did not succeed, it is very possible and highly likely Nintendo would have stopped making consoles at that point and would have potentially become a third-party developer, or even pivoted into something else completely different. Maybe just, just focused on practicing law, because they are a law firm that makes video games. They're not an actual video game company. Or they would have probably pivoted into something else, because that would have been it for Nintendo. And people need to wake the hell up and realize that it's not going to get any better. Okay? It's only going to get worse from here. Nintendo is going to continue trying to exploit the system as much as they can, and especially as people are tired, demoralized, miserable right now. Nothing has really felt the same since 2020, and I realize maybe I'll talk about this in another video. The reason why is because right now people feel like they're no longer living, they're just existing, and that's why time seems to be passing so quickly, because we people are very lonely. We have technology that was supposed to bring us together, but it's actually just pushing us further apart. Again, that's a subject for another video. And as a result of that, it feels like time is just moving by really, really quickly. But I realize is that we're not making memories. And if you're not making valuable memories in your life, then you're not living, because your life is essentially just a collection of memories. And if you're just basically rinsing and repeating and doing the exact same thing each and every single day, then life is just going to fly right by. And you're just living for the sake of living. All right, you're just living for the sake of existing. So you just exist, but you don't live. You're not enjoying your life. You're not creating new memories. You're not doing anything. And these Nintendo lunatics that are basically pushing and shilling for Nintendo, these people, they have nothing else. They have nothing else, and that's the reason why they live the way that they live. And even they themselves know that they're wrong for what they're doing. They themselves know that what Nintendo has created is absolute garbage. What they're doing to the consumer is absolute garbage. Like, if you watch Spawn Wave, there was no happy energy. Like, I don't know. So I was looking at, like, is this just me? Is it just that I feel really negative, or is it that their energy is just completely off? Like, everyone it looks like DEATH. Like, it was just so dead. The mood was just terrible. Like, you could essentially hear a pin drop. It was horrible. All right. And that just kind of illustrates it. So, yeah, guys, there's a lot of backlash brewing. Fans are furious. Many are boycotting purchasing the system. Some are saying that they won't, if they do purchase it, that they'll only do so when it's like for bargain bin prices, when they can pick it up at a pawn shop for literally no money at all. And here's the thing, by then it probably won't even work. Don't forget, you can't even repair the device. So it's not like, oh, you can pick up a Nintendo Switch 2 for dirt cheap. And if something's wrong, something's wrong with it, you can just open it up and change the battery. Nope. Can't do shit. Well, that's pretty much it. Nintendo has destroyed everything, guys. What do you think? Do you agree that Nintendo could really be facing a world of trouble right now, especially if more consumers continue opting out? We may have a Wii U situation. I think that the first year, 1 to 2 years, the Switch 2 will sell very well, but I think that it's going to be a downward decline from there, especially with Steam OS handhelds coming out, providing much more value. I think that within the next 1 to 2 years, we can potentially see even a Steam OS powered handheld that is under $300, and even a Steam machine for $300 or less. And these devices will offer. They may not be as powerful as a Steam Deck, but are, depending on optimization, but they'll be good enough for like, children. Like, oh, you have kids, give them one of these devices. It supports Steam OS. Valve says it supports it, uses an APU, a good integrated GPU, and it runs most games, runs them well, has a 720p screen. It's not like you're trying to give a high-end device to, like, it's not like you're trying to give a high-end device to an 18-year-old or something. It's for a kid, right? So, you give them this sub $300 device. A lot of women, a lot of casuals are going to pick it up because they also don't need like the cutting edge graphics. They just need something that is simple to pick up, play your games on, and have all of that affordability. And when people start playing on a Steam on this device and they realize, oh my gosh, I can get these games dirt cheap. I can go to a key shop, the same game that's being sold by Sony and Nintendo for 50 or 60 bucks. I just got it for $1.22 on on like a site like, Green Man. And it's like, yeah, I'm not doing this again. It's a big scam. It's a big scam. I get my games dirt cheap. The same, like I'll see a trailer. I'll see a trailer for a new game coming to PlayStation 4, PlayStation 5, right? On YouTube. And I'm like, oh, look at that. It looks interesting. And the first thing I'll do is I'll go and search for it on Steam. And I'm like, oh, the game came out. This game came out on Steam like 2 or 3 years ago. Okay, let's go and check all the key shops. So I'll go over to a website. If you want to learn how to do this, go do what I do. Go and check out Angry Guys Arcade. I teach you guys how to do all of this over there. And so I'm like, okay, yeah, let me go and check out the key shops, right? So I use a key shop searcher, check out all the different key shops selling it, official and unofficial. And I'm like, oh my gosh, look at this! It's $5 on an official key shop, while it's $50 or $60 on the PlayStation Store, and it's not even out yet. Or it's $1.22 on an official key shop, and there's like a bunch of them selling them for $1.22, $1.36. And yeah, you know what? I'll pick it up from Aniba. Go over there. They're charging a 50-cent fee. It's now $1.92. Oh well, I guess I'll pay the 50 cents. All right. Bada bing, bada boom. I pay for it. I get my key. I head over to Steam. I put my key in. Wow, now I have the deluxe version of the freaking game. Well, the deluxe version? Yes, the deluxe version. The version I told you about before was $49.99. That's the base version. I got the deluxe version. That is the base version with all the other additional stuff like the extra levels, the extra bosses, all the extra costumes, all that other stuff. I got the deluxe version for that I got the deluxe version for that $1.22. Well, technically $1.92 because the key shop charges like a 50-cent fee on there, but I'm not complaining. So now I have the deluxe version that sells for $59 or $69, and I'm never going to play the game. What? You're never gonna? Yeah, I'm never gonna play the game. It's just gonna be added to my Steam backlog, and I keep a list on Steam of games I should be playing. I'm not even gonna add the game to the list. It's just a part of the collection because these games don't really mean much to me. After I purchase them, the excitement goes away. Guys, that's the reality of gaming. All right, these games are literally they're worth less than the code that they're written with. Let me know your thoughts if you agree that Nintendo may be facing a world of hardship for what they've done, and the backlash may grow much larger, and as casual consumers decide to opt out of the Switch 2 and instead focus on better value devices, specifically devices from Valve, running from companies that are running SteamOS on their devices. It's going to be a complete night and day. And the coming Steam machines that we believe that are coming, right, that will run SteamOS for desktop will potentially directly challenge consoles. And if you can have a good affordable SteamOS console, Steam machine, why would you do anything else? Let me know your thoughts and we'll talk about it in the comments. Like the video if you like it. Don't forget to subscribe. And if you like the video, share the video. And just remember that all roads lead to MWA and walking away. And cheers.
Nothing says you care like crypto. Nothing can compare. Nothing says you care like crypto. Oh, nothing can compare to crypto.